I'm going to continue on where Daniel left off and talking about a geologic complexity in the suburbs of northeast Illinois and Kendall County, which really messes up the water story. Or we can play I Spy for the water towers. There's 8 of them in this picture, wrapped in the growing Kendall County, which uses the deep bedrock aquifer that a lot of communities use in northeast Illinois, 1,500-foot deep wells. And Kendall County is kind of sandwiched in between Aurora and Joliet in the red square there. They're a rapidly growing suburb. So all this water use in northeast Illinois has lowered the water level hundreds of feet, 700, 800 feet. And in that red circle there around Joliet is actually below sea level. So the Sandwich Fault is a major structural feature across northern Illinois that cuts right through Kendall County in the green box and splits it in half. So the south side of the fault has been raised relative to the north side, which has dropped down. So in Kendall County itself, this has brought the St. Peter sandstone to the bedrock surface and may interact with the Fox River as well. On the north side, there's shales at the surface, so a very different feature there. And if we look at the water levels, you see water levels on the south side are several hundred feet higher than they are on the north side of the fault, where they've been lowered by the pumpage at Aurora and Joliet and the rest of northeast Illinois. So if you look at an east-west cross-section across the fault, we see that the St. Peter and the Ironton-Galesville there in white have been completely offset. The lower Mount Simon is not, but the St. Peter and Ironton-Galesville is what's used for water supply. And so water cannot flow from the southwest to the northeast across that fault. It forms a hydraulic barrier. Now humans have also kind of messed up the system by drilling wells into multiple sandstones and interconnecting them. That's occurred on the north side of the fault. So we redid the model by adding the Sandwich Fault in as a hydraulic barrier and adding the interconnection influence of all the deep wells to the north. And so we recalibrated the model and concentrating on really the heads around the Sandwich Fault and how much they've been lowered by the influence of this hydraulic barrier in Kendall County, and also around some of the industries in Joliet. We've also done some transient calibration of the municipalities in Kendall County, and such as in Yorkville, where we actually have anecdotes of when the flowing wells stopped flowing back in the 30s. So, what does the Sandwich Fault mean for the future growth in Kendall County? As I said, it's a rapidly growing suburban area, and so the water use is projected to triple out to 2050. If we look at individual cities such as Yorkville, that depending on what different scenarios we pick, the water use is projected to increase by 5 or 6 fold. So what impact does this have on the aquifer? Over time, our drawdown continues to increase out to 2050, and we start to see these little black areas appear, which is where that upper sandstone, the St. Peter, is being completely desaturated. Zooming in on Kendall County, we see that desaturation in the St. Peter sandstone, and then the lower sandstone, the Ironton-Galesville, has exaggerated or extra drawdown because that's where the water has to come from now if the St. Peter is not supplying it. So this says that, okay, going forward, we don't really have a sustainable growth that we can rely on the aquifer. So what are some of the things we can do? So in our model, we said, okay, let's try putting wells on the south side of the fault where the water levels are higher. So we put Yorkville wells and Joliet wells on the south side. We also spread out pumpage from Oswego. And as you can see, if we do that, a lot of that desaturation problem disappears, at least in the communities in northern Kendall County. The industries in Will County still have a lot of trouble. Water levels do go down to St. Peter, but interestingly enough, we get recovery or a rise in the deep aquifer because now we have wells that have compromised those confining layers, those aquitars, and water levels actually rise in the Ironton-Galesville, even though we're pumping out of it. And so the fault has a big impact on the hydrology, and I'd love Tim to get his seismic out there and figure out more about exactly what it's doing. So, that's a picture of a little bird I took in Oswego doing filming.